It is this time last year, January 2022, and Wizards of the Coast are unstoppable. Their parent company Hasbro has stocks at the highest point they've been in years. It is a good time. Fast forward just 12 months, and Hasbro are down 9%, downsizing 15% of their workforce, laying off 1,000 employees, and Wizards of the Coast have taken 2 massive L's in brawls with their own community. This is bigger than just D&D, so I hopped on with the professor himself, Tolarian Community College, to work out exactly what Wizards need to do to win the community back. Because if Wizards don't answer these problems, stuff like the OGL and Magic 30 will just keep happening. Here are the 3 big problems Wizards needs to solve to survive. Number 1, the problem of growth. We've all heard how apparently D&D is undermonetized, and we've seen how Magic the Gathering has changed over the last few years to generate more income, successfully. But here's the problem. This growth literally can't continue.
There's no conceivable way where they can continue making money like they're making now and increasing money like they're increasing now. It will stop. There will be a point where they don't double their profits. There will be a point where they make as much this year as they did the last year, which for a corporation is a disaster. You can't just double profits indefinitely forever. Eventually, you will simply maintain profits, and eventually you will simply lose a couple dollars.
This is obvious, right? But the problem is Hasbro literally can't afford to show a drop in Wizards of the Coast, especially when the rest of the company is already falling. So Wizards are pushed to these crazy extremes, stealing content from other creators and locking down VTTs. Terrible idea. The OGL was a terrible idea. But they have to hit those targets, and when you push for money that hard, you wind up with the insanity of Magic 30th edition.
It was an absolute slap in the face to the community. They were selling booster packs of fake Magic the Gathering cards, and these were reprints of cards from the original Magic the Gathering set. They were randomized. They were, again, not real tournament legal cards, and they wanted $1,000 for 3 packs. And I like to say that the anger and outrage over the 30th anniversary edition wasn't just the 30th anniversary edition, but it was after all of this other stuff that has happened in terms of what can only be described as kind of a corporate cynicism, mistreatment of the community, and greed, that this was the cherry on the cake, the straw that broke the camel's back.
But forget splashy failures like the OGL and Magic 30, there's also the problem of content saturation, because they can only make so many products. They can only sell you so many books, right? Before they're just doing too much. They're oversaturating everyone's wallets. They probably already are. Same thing here. We've gone from like 4 major booster box sets a year to practically 1 every month at this point. And this is true for D&D. In the year between December 7th, 2021 and December 6th, 2022, we got 7 big releases from Wizards of the Coast. Strixhaven, Call of Netherdeep, Spelljammer, Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel, Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse, Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, Dragonlance. Across these 7 books, we've had 7 new races and 1 new subclass added to the game. That's it. But in the 12 months before Strixhaven, we had 4 new books. Only 4. Candlekeep Mysteries, Van Richen's Guide to Ravenloft, Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. And across those 4 books, we got 8 new races/lineages and 4 new subclasses. So the last 12 months released almost double the books, but gave us around 30% less player content than the year before. A lot of these books were also unpopular for other reasons, and it's clear to see that more product does not equal more value. Increasingly, over time, the reception to D&D releases has been negative. And this is why. It's just rushed, it has mistakes, it's unfinished and completely unchecked, or it's rehashed content churned out for a quick buck. But this isn't how it used to feel.
There was a standard and a dignity to it and a respect for the game, its player base, that the people making it were stewards, caretakers of this decades upon decades long property that had touched so many lives, including their own. And then that all just seemed to go out the window. And it's like, you know what? Anything goes. Will that sell? Will that do it? Will that sell? Do it. do another one, do another one, do another one, and that it is all kind of decayed to the point that we're doing $1,000 fake booster packs to celebrate 30 years.
The boom time cannot last forever. The dominoes have to topple, and when they do, Wizards will have gambled away all the goodwill from the community. And unless it stops, it'll push the community further and further away, like we've seen, to other systems. And that brings us to the second and third problems Wizards face, which are much more dangerous. Let's talk.
Oh, excuse me. Hey, do you want to kick me in the balls for $100? Yeah, sure, okay, but give me the money first. Also, why? I need money to play D&D for DM guides, monster manuals, player handbooks, and maps. No, you don't need that. You need a $1 one-shot. What? $1 one-shot is a Kickstarter from Penny Dragon Games. It is $1 for everything you need to run an awesome one-shot.
The players are hunting the fabled salmon of knowledge! But there are others who seek the prize and will do anything to stop you.
Wow, that sounds great! And it's only $1? Yeah, and it comes with a new monster, NPC, original art, battle map, and adventure. That's ridiculously cheap. Plus, all backers get another one-shot completely for free. That is 2 sessions of content for $1. Awesome! And now I don't need to get kicked in the balls! Okay, now give me my $100. That's not how this is supposed to work!
Grab your $1 one-shot today. Link in description. Problem 2. Everybody is an enemy. So for real, the biggest casualty of the last year is Wizards torpedoing any relationship they might have had with anybody. Obviously, they aren't interested in relationships with homebrew creators or other VTTs. The OGL made that obvious. But if you ever wondered what Wizards of the Coast's relationship is like with YouTube creators, I sure have, as a YouTube creator, because that relationship doesn't exist.
The community not only has a powerful voice, but the community has a powerful role in their precious sales numbers. I will be honest with you, on the Magic the Gathering side of things, the explosion in popularity of Magic the Gathering is in no small part due to, yeah, I'm going to say it. I don't want to sound like an egomaniac, but creators such as myself. I mean, it's not like Wizards of the Coast is advertising Magic the Gathering on television. I don't say that it's only because of content creators, but we have a huge role in the success of our games. And Wizards is very, very flimsy in their relationship with them. It sounds like they don't even talk to most D&D people. It's amazing to me how much just a little bit of investment in their creator community could get them back if they had fostered positive relationships. And yet they don't. I don't understand it.
Full disclosure here, I was once contacted by Wizards of the Coast officially. They sent me, a D&D YouTuber, a Magic the Gathering secret lair for Fortnite. I mean, it was a nice gift, but this is weird, right? No follow-up either, by the way. Just here are some cards to a game you've never talked about, themed around a game you've never actually played. Like, what? But forget about influencers. We need to talk about the casualty nobody is talking about. Local game stores. Wizards have long made a point about caring for local game stores. Except not anymore. Now those local game stores are competition. Magic 30 was released exclusively online. Dragonlance was released 2 weeks early online, and I guarantee all future D&D books will get the same treatment. This is really smart if your parent company is dying and you need to produce strong digital figures to reassure investors. But it is terrible for long-term community growth and for local game stores, the grassroots community hubs that kept your game alive for the past 40 years. Take Dragonlance. It was Christmas time. Local game stores rely on that season to support themselves and their families across the entire year. They are contractually forbidden from selling the book early, but D&D Beyond does sell it early, and influencers jump on it the second it drops to capitalize on that hype. The hype train leaves the station weeks before the book appears in shops, and people get FOMO and order their copy online. The local game stores get nothing, and the community who bought the physical book through D&D Beyond, well, they had to wait for 30 days just to get a confirmation that it would be shipped. sometime. People were furious about this on D&D Beyond. It would have been a huge deal if it weren't for the OGL a few days later. But Wizards can handle a few angry comments, right? What they really care about is taking money away from local game stores so they can have it themselves. But burning down that relationship is dangerous. These local gaming communities are powerful, and guess who will step in to fill the void left by Wizards of the Coast? Paizo will happily step into that breach and set local game stores up with Pathfinder. Now, when prospective new players walk into a game store, they'll be met with Pathfinder products and Pathfinder game nights, and that is a disaster for Wizards long term. But worse than local game stores and creators is WotC's loss of you, the people who actually play their game. Sadly, the secret is kind of out of the bag. We don't need leaks telling us how the executives hate us. The original dismissive responses to the OGL and the whole of Magic 30 kind of tell us everything we need to know. And this attitude of dismissal to their own community is baffling.
When you have a community that will buy your product, that will shove money hand over fist to get your product, why would you be dismissive and derogatory of them? Why would you want to piss them off? Wouldn't that be the most prized thing? Wow, our customer base loves us. They love our product. They're spending money like fiends. Aren't they great? Make sure they're happy. Make sure that we are treating them well. Hey, the people who are making that product, make sure they're all paid very well and treated very well because they're making the thing that is causing people to pay money hand over fist. That's how you do it.
But honestly, the saddest bridge that WotC has burned is with itself. The sheer number of Wizards of the Coast employees who leaked things to the press and leaked things to influencers shows that they are not happy with the direction of the company. Wizards of the Coast is filled with great people, but the tippy-top management who run the show, they have no friends in the company, and it's cost them massively. If they'd have invested a little time into supporting their workers and treating them well, we'd never have got any leaks about the OGL. It would have gone through. We wouldn't have had an opportunity to stop it. Seriously, how much money do you think this one email from a Wizards employee cost Wizards of the Coast? Like, over time? Maybe 10 million? After all the boycotts, the people who've left D&D Beyond forever, the people who've left D&D forever and gone on to new systems, all the people that those people would have eventually brought into the game, all that money is just gone. What we've seen is that in the social media age, where one tweet can reach over 3 million people in less than 24 hours, is you kind of can't afford to be a dick anymore. It's actually bad business, and Hasbro cannot afford any more bad business. But the biggest problem for WotC, specific to D&D, is number 3. They need us. We don't need them. WotC are terrified of people working out that D&D is a completely free game. They can't monetize your imagination, or a group of people getting together to game on a Thursday night. So they have to try this crazy stuff, like moving D&D entirely to an online platform where they can earn money just for letting you play. But the choice to go to their digital space has always been with you. It's always been with the community. That's why they lost the war for the OGL. The power has always been ours. Look, I think the Prof said this one best.
I don't think that Wizards of the Coast can ever take Dungeons & Dragons from the community, because at the end of the day, the community doesn't need Wizards of the Coast to play Dungeons & Dragons. In fact, the idea that there is a company selling Dungeons & Dragons at all is so bizarre, because you can play Dungeons & Dragons completely independent of having to buy those books, of them having to make new ones. The community itself has demonstrated they can create works. At a certain point, we can take our ball and go home. And Magic, it's a little less so, but not entirely. Magic's got enough cards, and we're already in Magic starting to celebrate and praise the idea of just proxying our cards and not buying the new ones and the expensive ones anymore, because Wizards isn't giving us the incentive and the reasons to do it. And so I would say that no one can take Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering away from us, that we can play and experience these properties in these games how we want to play and experience them. And if Wizards of the Coast goes too far, it's going to realize that we outnumber them and we can do it without them, and that it needs to be courting us, not being discourteous of us. And I think that this relationship that these executives have with the player base and possibly even their own game devs and stuff is just going to lead to more antagonism and bad feelings, and that needs to turn around. But on our end, you can play D&D how you want to play D&D, and you can play Magic how you want to play Magic. And you never need to buy another card or source book in order to do that.
Okay, this might blow your mind right now, but I want Wizards to succeed. Truly, I would love a WotC I that makes a great product, treats their staff and community really well, and yeah, makes a shit ton of money. I would love to be able to contact someone at Wizards in an official capacity and have a relationship. But that's just not the Wizards of the Coast that we have. Hopefully they will learn from the OGL, but honestly, I kinda doubt it. Maybe Hasbro need to accept that $150 million per year is actually pretty good for D&D, and that number will naturally grow if they focus on making great products. Maybe it starts with respecting their own staff and the community that they desperately need, and not the other way around. Shout out to Tolarian Community College. We actually had this chat before Wizards officially revoked the OGL 1.2. Just meeting and talking through this stuff with him made me feel way better about the whole situation at a time when it was looking really bad. Check them out, I've linked the channel in the description. It is the best place for Magic the Gathering content, and they even have a live play series, which I'm kind of addicted to. Also, there is a free 34-page adventure by Loot Tavern called Wizards of the Toast, with some additional content sprinkled in by me. It parodies the whole OGL fiasco in a hilarious and really creative way. I've also linked that in the description. You can get it totally free on Patreon, and the new DM secret weapon is on there too. Normal content starts again this week. Thanks for everything, and I think that's all I've got. See ya.